Good morning, friends and teacher. Myself, Vinushree. I'm going to take a topic on roles of assessment in teaching and learning process. Introduction. So, before starting our topic, let me say what is meant by assessment. So, the simple definition is judgment of someone or something. Okay. So, for example, in a classroom, if you want to judge students, will be conducting a test. So, that is known as assessment. So, based on that test marks, we will be teaching the students according to the new teaching and strategies. So that is known as assessment. So assessment are divided into three types, that is assessment for learning, assessment of learning, and assessment as learning finally. So we will see one by one in next slides. So assessment for learning. So first one is assessment for learning. So assessment for learning is very important assessment because it is the test which is conducting each and every day in the classroom. So for example, if teacher want to introduce a new topic, she has to know what are the previous knowledge the students know. So she will be conducting the test or simple test for 5 to 10 minutes. So that is known as formative assessment. So formative assessment, that the test which is conducting each and every day, is known as formative assessment, that is assessment for learning. And here the one more thing is, so there is no graded marks. So for each and every day's assessment, so the teacher won't be preparing any marks grade. So just she will be giving the marks to improve their performance level, and based on that average students, she will try to bring more using the demonstration models, teaching and strategies, learning by doing methods. So based on that assessment, she will be improving the performance of the students. So for that kind of method, this assessment for learning is very helpful. So one more important thing is, uh, so the recorded marks which is not stored in the assessment for learning. So the example of assessment for learning is question and answer. It's like just oral test in classroom by asking just questions and answers. It is known as assessment for learning. That is the best example. So next comes assessment. So next comes the benefits of assessment for learning. So the first benefit is that motivated unmotivated students. So if one particular student is not performing well, so he will be motivated. So the second benefit is that restores desire, student desire to learn. So they will be encouraging student to learn more. So encourage student to keep learning. And final thing is to increase the achievement level. So the teacher will be working hard to bring the performance level of the students high. So next one is assessment of learning. In assessment of learning, it is nothing but summative assessment. Whereas in previous assessment of learning, it is formative assessment. It is a day-to-day activity or a test will be conducting daily. So whereas in case of summative assessment, it will be conducted. That is the assessment or exam. It will be conducted at end of the class. So that is known as uh, summative assessment. Summative assessment, the best example in school is that annual exams, half-yearly exams, quarterly exams will be conducting. That is common exam is known as summative assessment. So here the record will be stored. So based on the record which is stored, the teacher can evaluate the student easily. So for grading purpose, we are conducting the exams. So that is known as summative assessment. So using this, the student can understand so where the student level is. So if it is average level, the student and teacher have to work hard to bring the performance high. So for this purpose, that is assessment of learning is very helpful. So the important example of this assessment of learning is periodic test, achievement test, that is semi-final, final. So these are the best examples for assessment of learning. So next we'll see what are the benefits of assessment of learning. So the first benefit is that to evaluate students' understanding level. So we can evaluate the how much knowledge the student has gained. So second one is they help in creating academic records. So as I said before, the records which are maintained properly, so that can be shared to parents, principals. So individual record will be maintained for the students in the classroom. So it boosts the confidence level of the learner. So it helps the student to face competitive exams. So conducting this kind of summative assessment, it is very important for their future learnings. So next we'll move on to assessment as learning. In assessment as learning is nothing but it is self assessment. So our self responsibility of the learning. So fix a goal to reach the next level. For example, I'm just saying, for an example, if I want to become a doctor, I have to work hard. I have to work hard to reach the goal. So that is the self assessment, that is development and support of the metacognitive skill for the lifelong learning. So that is known as assessment as learning, that is nothing but self assessment. So self assessment example is that reflection, insight. So for monitoring our own learning, so the main purpose of this assessment as learning is for monitoring our own learning. So the benefits of assessment as learning is that so the benefit of teacher, that helps facilitates learning of students. So in this simple diagram we can see that the first block, it shows the where the learner is now. So the learner can do the self assessment, where am I. So next, where the learner is going. So next step, what he has to do to improve herself. So what he has to do. So next one, how to go there. So this is the cycle of the assessment has learning. It is very important to meet their competitive exams, to achieve their goals. So this assessment has learning is very helpful for their future achievements. So what are the purpose of assessments? So the first one is assessment for learning. Assessment for learning is nothing but, so each and every day they will keep on conducting test. So based on that performance level, the student has to improve themselves by guidance of the teacher. So next one is assessment of learning. Assessment of learning is nothing but summative assessment. Summative assessment is nothing but the test which is conducting at the end of the year. For example, annual exams and final semesters and quarterly exams, half yearly exams in schools. So these are the simple examples of summative exams. So here the grading purpose, they are conducting the exams, and the records will also be stored safely and will be shared to the parents also. So this is said to be summative assessment. Whereas in case of assessment as learning, so it is mainly depend on student. So student self assessment, that is responsibility of the learner and to fix a goal to reach the future. So conclusion. So in conclusion here, assessment is very important for each and every students to judge themselves what level they are. For example, if student performance is an average level, so the teacher will come to know, so what are the methods have to be provided to improve the students performance level to the next higher position. So for that kind of purpose, the assessment is very important. Assessment, self assessment is also very important. So in schools, this assessment and observation, test and measurements, so these are the important methods which are following. So in questions, so let's discuss, so what's the difference between summative assessment and formative assessment. So as I said before, formative assessment helps students to learn and practice themselves. Okay, so in case of summative assessment, it accesses the students performance. So in formative assessment, so when we will be using, that is throughout the course. So throughout the course, the day to day test is will be conducting every day, so throughout the course. Whereas in case of summative, so when the summative assessment will be conducted at the end of the instructional period, the particular test will be conducted, for example annual exam. So why we are using formative assessment, so what's the reason behind it? So it is to identify the gap and improve learning of the students. So in case of summative assessment, why we are using, so what is the reason is to collect the evidence of the students knowledge, skill or proficiency. So for that particular purpose we are using summative assessment. Okay, so next is explain assessment as learning. So assessment as learning is nothing but self assessment. So it's our responsibility for learning and to reach the goal. So one particular person is preparing his timetable to perform well in exam. So preparation and everything is based on his idea. So develop and support the assessment as learning by using metacognitive skills. So metacognitive skill is that the self-interest to reach the lifelong process. Thank you, ma'am.